So we're here today with Sharmilla Reid, who is the Supporter Relations Director for ADRA Canada. So bringing this back to ADRA, I know that many people want to give gifts to ADRA, but I think sometimes they're maybe reluctant to do so because they're thinking that, well, doesn't my tithes and offerings go to support these types of ministries?
No,
Oh, they don't.
is the simple answer. The tithes and the offerings are designated, and so there are purposes that the church has decided are what the tithes and the offerings are going to be used for. But
Hmm.
ministries like ADRA, we get zero of the tithe and offering money
Okay.
unless you designate your offering to ADRA.
Okay.
And so gifts that come outside of those two streams are really important to us, and that's really how our ministry is able to do the work that we do. It is through people who are both when they are alive and when they're planning their legacies, are thinking about the work that we do and the impact that we're having and the people and the lives that we are touching that really enable us to do that work, because without that we wouldn't be able to.
Okay. Yeah. So the tithes are not going to support ministries like ADRA, but the offerings are. And the wonderful thing about offerings is that God allows us to look around and see what aligns with our passions and what we're trying to accomplish, and then that's where we give our money to.
Mm-hmm.
And it's nice to hear that ADRA is there to help supporters and donors
Mm-hmm.
to be part of that wonderful work that's being done all around the world, relieving people from disaster and also the development projects that
Mm-hmm.
you're a part of.
And I mean, I always tell people, pray about it.
Hmm.
Make sure that you're talking to the Holy Spirit and you're listening to what it is that the Lord wants you to do, because, we can make suggestions. We can say, this is our most important project, this is what is making the most impact. But ultimately, it is up to you and the Holy Spirit to decide what's best.
Hmm. And can people be assured that when they designate money for ADRA and maybe even for a specific project, like maybe a specific earthquake that's taken place, can they be assured that that money is going to be used the way that they want it to be used?
Well, yes, if we are using it immediately.
Okay.
But if you're not planning on your gift being used for another 20 years, I wouldn't recommend a very strict designation,
Okay.
because we may not be doing that kind of work in 20 years.
Mm.
So countries go through all kinds of transformations, and countries that today are in the midst of war and famine and crisis may be quite stable in
Hmm.
20 years.
Hmm.
And so we, as much as possible, would like the gift to be as free as possible, because not only does that give us flexibility in how we use it, it helps us to make a greater impact. Because if you say it must be used for an earthquake, but the biggest crisis at that point
Mm.
is a typhoon, then we know our donors just want to help people.
Hmm.
And so, the more restricted it is, we will honor it if we're able to, as much as possible. But the broader the designation, the more likely it is that the deeper wish of helping people will
Hmm.
be accomplished.
Yeah, to be able to be used much more quickly,
Yes.
perhaps. Now, has that ever happened when a donor wanted to use the money in a certain way and there really wasn't a need for it, but maybe there was a need someplace else?
Oh, yes. Actually, we do have an earthquake fund that was set up 20 years ago,
Okay.
and it's for a specific location, and there has been no significant earthquake in that location for 20 years.
Okay.
And so we actually do have that historical fund that is sitting there, and if and when that happens, we will use it.
Hmm.
But what was a significant sum of money 20 years ago is not as significant
Hmm.
today.